In the late hours of March 19, 1996, 55-year-old Tom Niven, owner of White's Pub, took a shotgun bullet to the side of his head as he was counting the weekly earnings that his pub had brought in. Catherine, his wife of 20 years, well known in the community as someone being intelligent, hardworking, ambitious, and just had this way about her that drew others in. What appeared to most as a happy, loving marriage to becoming a story with a tragic ending due to acts of greed, deceit, and betrayal. After her fourth attempt, successfully was able to hire an assassin to take out her husband that up to her arrest had portrayed herself to be the injured victim and lost, soul-shattered widow, almost getting away with it for good. Part was her being a pathological narcissist and was well-versed in the role of playing the victim and being able to lie so easily, even after the evidence started pointing the finger at her, was still shocking, because the common assumption that the victims of narcissistic abuse or any kind of domestic violence is typically a woman. The truth, however, is that domestic violence and narcissistic abuse are not gender specific. In fact, statistics show 1 out of 7 men will experience narcissistic abuse at some point in their lives, but over half of the time, this abuse is received at the hands of an intimate partner. Because contrary to the belief that female narcissists are just some pretty face and is the walking, talking definition of vain, that though yes, narcissists are very much self-absorbed, superficial, materialistic, and wanting to come off looking like they are all sorts of special. But this delusion of there being some form of Greek god truly isn't just about someone who's extremely attractive, has an obsession with taking selfies, as much as those who are attractive may use it in their advantage and are just as equally as a male narcissist is to be perpetrators of emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sexual coercion, sexual violence, stalking, financial control, as well as physical abuse, and in some cases, homicide. Yet, when a man is the one at the receiving end of narcissistic abuse, they are less likely to pick up on it, less likely to talk about their experiences, be that to a family member, a friend, or even a therapist, and are more inclined to make it appear and to come off seems to be a good relationship. Sadly, all the while their narcissistic partner is going to eat that up and walk all over them with it, seeing to it that they come off a more charming, loving, doting partner, and or preparing their smear campaign as they go about to their closest family and friends, playing it off like they are the victim in this relationship. And they're simply being a woman, making their bullshit sob stories far more believable. And their need for control, dominance, being on top, and keeping this delusional image alive. These women, just like the men, can create enough fear and confusion in their victims to ensure that they maintain this control. And having endured their abusive cycle, being devalued, demeaned, constantly told that you're not lovable, you're unwanted, unworthy, have turned your hopes, dreams, and thoughts of better days to come to complete shit, as well as your opinions, beliefs, rights, more or less castrating their masculinity, now with their self-esteem in the shitter to the point of being paralyzed. They will then proceed to use emotional blackmail, making threats of taking custody of their children, as well as staging acts as if they are being physically abused, getting them to this point where they literally feel like there is absolutely nothing that they can do, nowhere to turn to, and or many of the times even willing to accept that they are in fact being abused. Because depending on how they were raised, as well as stereotypes from society to be tough, to not complain, to take it like a man. And even those that are able to recognize it and admit it to themselves still on the back burner have this underlying concern that they're going to look like some chick having them by the balls and are some kind of a pansy or wuss. Why? In instances of physical violence, or when the narcissist flies off the deep end and starts breaking all of their shit in bouts of rage, they don't call the police in thoughts that they're going to be ridiculed, laughed at, or just not believed. And sadly is a legit valid concern. Like, for example, James, narcissistic abuse survivor, who remained trapped in an abusive relationship for over a decade after doctors on multiple occasions had dismissed welts, bruises, cuts on him, that they're not believing, but their lack of empathy and ridicule stopped him from even seeking medical help or talking about his abuse in general, finally getting him to the point that he was on the verge of suicide. So much so that he actually made a phone call to a hotline where he was then told they did not receive funding to support male victims. They were unable to help. Thankfully, he did not follow through with his suicidal ideations. However, continued living in his own misery on top of becoming more guilt-ridden and shameful over what kind of an impact that this relationship and his wife were causing their children, who too were experiencing their own abuse at the hand of this woman. Seeing the damage that this was causing his children, finally found the courage to tell his wife that he was leaving and taking them with her. She then proceeded to take a knife, pressing it into her throat in front of James and their daughter, telling him how sorry he was going to be and that there ain't no way in hell that he is ever going to leave her. Then she went into the other room to make the phone call to the police that James had stabbed her in the neck. At the same time, his brave, courageous daughter ran next door to the neighbor, told her what was going on, to whom then contacted the police. Thankfully had some training or education about narcissistic abuse, intervened, arrested the wife. And what my whole point to all of this is, for one, there is no shame, fault, guilt, or need to feel any lesser of a man or person, for that matter, about being abused. You didn't sign up for it. You did not know that this person was a she-devil straight out of hell when you entered into this relationship. And there is absolutely zero honor in staying, nor is there anything that you are going to gain by doing so. And have no question about it that these female narcissists know damn well that they are going to be able to garnish more sympathy from others, that they are going to be able to get their victim card believed more easily, and knowing damn well that they aren't going to have to work as hard getting away with it, they are not going to turn down that opportunity for a second, and therefore are willing to go even further in extreme with their maliciousness, their lies, and their bullshit. And want to commend all of the men in this community and who have not only shared their stories in comments, but have reached out and helped other survivors and have come to be some of my top commenters. Truly am grateful for, but too, in my opinion, makes you 10 times more courageous, brave than anyone who won't admit that this could happen to them. Because let me tell you, it takes a shit ton of courage and some damn big balls to be able to do that. So there is no reason for you to feel bad about yourself, think that you are any lesser of a man, or like I said before, person. And I encourage you to keep sharing your stories. Knowing truly is half the battle. The best thing that you can do for yourself and or your children is to pack your shit and get the hell out of Dodge. Assalamu alaikum, Satan. Bye, Felicia, as that is the only way to get back your life, your sanity, and your freedom. So focus on you. Fuck narcissist.